Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm your host, Mike Rogers. It gives me great pleasure to bring to you another installment of the Mental Health Speaker Series presented by the Canadian Mental Health Association of New Brunswick. Over this week, we have been talking with several mental health advocates who are graciously sharing their journey with us. We hope in presenting this series, we can offer you insight and let you know that you are not alone on your journey, and that you might find hope and understanding that recovery and resiliency are indeed possible. If you're experiencing a mental health issue, please reach out to one of the numbers that we'll be sharing in the chat. During this presentation, if at any point in time you have a question, please enter it into the Q&A portion at the bottom of the screen. You just click the little button and you can type it right in. We'll be covering all of those questions at the end of tonight's presentation. Tonight we have with us Fred McCausland, better known to his listeners as Freddy Mac, host of the morning slot on Fredericton's The Fox. When Fred quit drinking 21 years ago, it was just the start of what he calls a magical mental health journey that continues today. As a mental health advocate, Fred has done a series of mental health blogs for the New Brunswick Department of Wellness and public talks with groups ranging from teens to education professionals, all while focusing on the magic that has worked for him coping with addiction and maintaining sobriety. Fred, we are so happy to be able to have you with us here tonight.
Thank you for having me, Mike. And, I've had a chance to check out some of the videos from earlier this week and some of the speakers, and what a great job everybody's done. And it's super of the Mental Health Association of New Brunswick to put this on. And you, my friend, have been doing an excellent job. Let's not forget you, my friend.
Thank you very much. It means a lot. But let's let you get on to your own great job, because I know it's going to be fantastic. We'll talk again at the Q&A. You can take right on over.
Yeah, I literally have a jar of peanut butter holding up my iPad here. So this is, if it moves, it's the peanut butter's fault. Hi, everybody. Like I said, thanks again for asking me to be here. Now, I do want to tell you right off the bat that this is not a talk about how to quit drinking, because I honestly don't know, and that'll make more sense in just a few minutes. What I'm trying to do tonight is to share with you some things I've learned during my sobriety. And these things aren't necessarily just geared toward the addict, of course. It talks more about, tapping into a magic. And I've found out it's a magic that's constantly working for all of us, and it's definitely worked for me. So many ways I can go into about the magic, but I'm going to try and focus on a few of the biggies that have worked for me. So, if nothing else, my goal tonight is to help you think about what you're thinking about. And I heard one time that on average, 80% of our thoughts are negative or fear-based. And at the time, that kind of knocked me back a little bit, right? 80% are negative. So I had to do a quick check on myself, did a quick inventory, all my thoughts during the previous 24 hours, running over some of the thoughts and reactions I had to situations and people that crossed my path. And I got to tell you, after being completely honest with myself, that 80% number seemed kind of low. I mean, I used to think, so what? These are just my thoughts. They're just milling about in my head, keeping to themselves. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not saying them out loud. What's the big deal? Well, as I sit here 21 years sober, I can tell you it is a big deal. And for me, it was a life and death big deal. So without further ado, hello, my name is Fred, and I'm an addict. Alcohol was the drug of my choice. A lot of people always used to joke with me. They'd say, oh my God, Fred, you drank so much. You drank. And I say, no, wait. Now, technically, I only drank once for 10 years. And I had my last drink November 29th, 1999. I'll remember that night, bit of a blur, but I feel like I need to tell you how I ended up in the ICU at the deck that night and many nights to follow. And then we can get into the good stuff, I promise, the magic. The night I had my last drink, I'd been hired by a local group to play Santa at their staff Christmas party. Now, it wasn't the first Santa gig I'd done. I'd established a reputation for playing kind of a bad Santa. In other words, a drunk, just fired from the mall kind of Santa. And at the time, I loved these gigs because they had everything an alcohol could want. A free hotel room to hide in, a free bar tab to take advantage of, and most importantly, the approval of others that I so desperately craved. Validation. And the best thing about playing a drunk Santa was I had permission to be drunk. Great. I didn't even have to hide it. Well, I actually had to hide how much I actually drank. By that point in my life, I built up a pretty amazing tolerance for hard liquor, which is all I ever drank. So I knew in order to be fully in character that night, I had to check into my free hotel room early, which was no problem because it was definitely an upgrade from the squalor I was living in. And I do remember not feeling well that night, but that was nothing new to me, not feeling well. It was a way of life. I mean, I'm pretty sure anyone who drinks at least 20 to 60 ounces of rum every day for 10 years wouldn't feel well. So I did the gig that night, and I remember being pretty upset with how badly it went. I thought I sucked, quite frankly. And when there's any danger of not being good enough or the best or approved of, what's an addict to do? Well, of course, I ran away and hid. I ran to my hotel room to drink about it, and then I passed out in the bed. I'm not exactly sure what time I woke up that morning, sometime between 4 and 5. It's not really important, but I needed to throw up. My vomiting had gotten progressively worse over the previous 6 months. I was physically sick 20 to 30 times a day, sometimes more. And I even convinced myself in my insane thinking that that was something that would eventually pass. I mean, I certainly couldn't tell anybody about it. You know, Freddy Mac has flaws. No way I can let that get out. I'd lose my job. What would people think? Me, vulnerable? I will do anything to protect my vulnerability. Right, guys? So I stumbled to the bathroom. I noticed blood on the floor. I noticed blood in the sink, on the shower curtain, and it was everywhere. And when I began vomiting massive amounts of blood, I realized this wasn't the first trip to the bathroom I had that night. It started to make sense, and I knew I was in serious trouble. But talk about the insanity of an addict's thinking and reasoning. Even with my hotel room looking like the final scene in Carrie, I actually thought about not calling an ambulance. I said, and maybe it'll pass. Thank God I called. Of course, I didn't want to be a burden to the EMTs. So what's a drunk to do? Get dressed, pack a bag, and wait out front for them. Maybe I can get through this, nobody's the wiser. This is what I'm thinking. The medical team of the deck determined pretty quickly I had what's known as esophageal varices. That's a condition brought on by repeated vomiting and stress on the esophagus. And those who drink themselves into this state have a 10 to 20% survival rate. And beyond that, I was put on a liver transplant list with the best case scenario of 5 years without a new liver because it's past the point of regeneration. I never did need that transplant. And I improved, I credit my improved physical health with my improved mental health. And with all respect and love to those who struggle every day to abstain, I was so lucky that I was scared sober, and I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that night in 1999 I would never drink again. I was too scared. I dare say it's the only time in my life fears ever actually worked for me on some level. The doctor said, you drink, you die. And I said, good enough for me. And I had this crazy idea that the booze was gone from my life. Once it was gone, things would automatically be great. In some ways it was. I mean, I checked the ATM at the hospital after a week down in the lobby there, and I had $300 in my account. I was like, there's no negative side in front of it. I was, woo. But was life getting better? No. All I did was remove the one thing that kept me from having to face life head on. The one thing that numbed me from feeling shit and being present in my life, I continued down that same mentally toxic road I'd been on while I was drinking, only now I could feel it. Nothing was going right. All my issues, perceived problems, it all still remained. The frustration with my job, relationships not working out, worry and stress always rearing their ugly heads. And it sucked because now I could feel it all. I was a dry drunk. You've heard that, right? Dry drunk. No booze, but all the addictive behaviors remain. And I'll tell you what, it took about 5 years into my sobriety for someone very close to me to hold up a mirror and say that Fred McCausland, was emotionally abusive. And I'll never forget it. It's 2004 outside a hotel room in PEI when I heard those words. She even handed me the printouts of all the traits of an emotional abuser. And as I read the words for the first time in my life, I didn't get defensive. I didn't try to blame someone or something or her. We're denying what was obviously there, I guess. I literally sobbed for a week. And I remember surrendering to the tears, during the tears, and surrendering to a new way. I had no idea what the new way looked like. I guess you could call it my rock bottom. So what happened to me? How did I end up this way? I didn't have a bad childhood. Neither of my parents drank. I was a pretty good student. I excelled in sports and drama. I had a lot of friends, some really cool experiences. I did come from a broken home. but I'd rather be from a broken home than live in one, right? I like that one. I don't think I'm different from a lot of people when I say I just wanted to be liked, accepted, seen as perfect in the eyes of my peers, colleagues, families, even strangers. I just wanted success. I wanted to be the best. I wanted others' opinions of me to be favorable, validated. Isn't that what most of us are taught from an early age? You know, you get an A, you're great. You get an F, you're a failure. Not good enough. I laugh now when I think I used to refer to myself proudly as a perfectionist. Well, I'll tell you what, on November 29th, 1999, I was hunched over in a blood-soaked hospital gown with a team of doctors manipulating a scope down my esophagus to try to save my internal organs from squeezing the life out of me. And after spending the better part of 32 years looking for perfection, I can easily conclude that in that moment, I was as far from perfection as a person can get. And how many of you know someone who's perfect, right? How many of you know someone who never makes a mistake, who never has a problem, who never gets sick, never gets nervous, wakes up with perfect hair? I ask myself the same question, and the answer is nobody. Nobody. There's no such thing as perfection. I mean, we throw that phrase around, right? Nobody's perfect. So think about this. If there's no such thing as perfection, and I spend my time looking for perfection in myself and others, what am I really looking for? If perfection doesn't exist, yep, that is what I seek. What am I finding? I'm finding faults. And believe me when I say the only people who always find what they're looking for are fault finders. Perfection's a shame. It's self-attack dressed up as high standards is what it is. Things must be certain ways, right? Things must be this way. Things must end up like this. We must do it this way. We must do it that way. We must end up like this. It must, we must, you must. I was a masturbator. Here's an example. I'm sure some of you can relate. I remember pulling out of the Regent Mall with my ex. She was driving. There was two ways to get home from the mall. Basically, you take the highway or you go through town. I like the highway, it's faster. She turned left instead to go through town. And it started with a simple, why are you going this way? And then the fight started. Well, she wasn't doing what I wanted her to do to satisfy my happiness. We must take the highway. I started to let go of those musts, conditions, and rules. Now, every time I let go of my own perfect plan, I know I'm making space for something better. In other words, what's meant to be. I mean, who the hell knows? Maybe the universe was saving us from hitting a deer on the highway, right? What's meant to be. I know now, whatever happens in my life, the universe is always rigged in my favor, always. And I'll get to that. I spent so many years masturbating, demanding perfection, all the while discovering so many faults and flaws in myself and others. I expected everything to be perfect in my life, exactly as I wanted it to, in order for me to be happy. And after all, isn't that what we want, right? To be happy. God, I got it wrong for so many years. And I think collectively, a lot of us live our lives in this kind of state of external suffering. People ask me why I drink. I say external suffering. And they just, basically to avoid suffering. In other words, my happiness depended on outside forces, externally. My happiness always depended on circumstances that were outside of my control. My coworker's a slacker. Somebody cuts me off in traffic. I'm not happy. The line at the drive-thru is taking forever. That's frustrating. The dog next door won't stop barking. On and on and on and on. Every day, put in these situations, allowing them to dictate my level of happiness. If I get the job, I'll be happy. If I don't, I won't. This is where I got into trouble the first years of sobriety. Actually, all my life, really. I mean, everything had to go perfectly in order for me to be happy. I found myself manipulating situations, people, in order for me not to feel the bad stuff. I was feeling it now, right? There can't be any bad stuff. My happiness depends on it. So please act accordingly, agree with me, and do what I want. External suffering. I was opening the door to happiness the wrong way. It escaped me for the most part because of my perfect expectations, right? Happiness was always up there, somewhere beyond me. The girl had a crush on me, whether she liked me back or not, that determined it all, right? My team didn't win the championship. If I get a lot of money, a nice car, that'll make me happy. All these things we're taught and conditioned to believe that the things that once we have them will make us happy. Chasing happiness, always over there somewhere. Gotta go get it or buy it. Nothing was working. I wasn't able to deal with life. I had no idea what I was doing. I was externally suffering, and it drove me to drink. And then I stopped drinking, and here I am again. Look, I'll tell you, people aren't going to do what you want them to do. So good luck with that, right? I started opening that door the other way instead. I started pulling on that door to happiness, looking elsewhere, inside. And I've heard the speakers earlier this week. Now I'll touch on it. And that's where the magic is. So let's get into the magic. I've never been a big car guy. I've never paid much attention. I remember as a kid, my dad used to show off his automobile knowledge. He'd show up. You have somebody in your, they shout out all the automobile knowledge, the makes and models of various vehicles that we'd see on our way to hockey practice. Oh, look, there goes a 76 Nova. No, wait, that's a 75. You can tell by the taillights. It didn't interest me much, so I never gave it much thought. And I use this as one example, but there are many. So here's, you might go through this. Every time I purchase a new car, like most people, I focus all my thoughts on the purchase with all my attention on the make, the model, the details, the look. It's new. So my dominant thoughts are on my brand new Mazda 3, right? And every time I buy a new car, it never fails. I drive it off the lot thinking, I love this car. I've never seen many of these on the road, so I must be one of the few with a car like this. Then it's pretty much as soon as you pull off the lot, and as time passes, I see that same make and model and year and color everywhere. It's the same car I have. I've never noticed how many Mazda 3s are on the road. Look, part of the magic is there's no more or less Mazda 3s on the road than there were before I bought my car. The difference now is because I'm focusing on it and thinking about it, I start to see more of it in my life. It's called the power of attention, the magic. It's almost like we don't see things as they are. We see them as we are. It's one of my favorite quotes, actually. I see the world as loving. You may see the world as uncaring. Same world, right? I see 3 Mazda 3s on Prospect Street. You see something else. Same street. So I'm thinking, okay, Fred, who gets to decide what you focus on and put your attention on? Is it really me? Cool, I can control that. I can control the things I focus on, I think. Or I could start to anyway. I can begin to focus, stay aware of what my attention is in a typical day, what it's on. In other words, what am I thinking about? And for the first time in my life, I found myself really thinking about what I was thinking about. And it's pretty sobering, which in my case is a good thing. I stumbled across the law of thinking, or the law of thinking in the self-help section there at Chapters. And by the way, if you're looking for me, there's a good chance you'll find me in the self-help section at Chapters. If you're looking for my mother-in-law, she's at Winners. Anyway, the law of thinking states what you think and what you believe is what will come true for you in your life. Now, the concept being our thoughts are energy, just like everything in the universe is energy. There's an energy that's emitted from you and me, the cat, the dog, even the couch has this low-level energy of its own. It's science. In other words, you could use as vibration. The concept basically, our thought energy creates our vibrational energy, and the universe matches it. I only know it because I experienced the magic firsthand. The universe loves you so much, it's going to give you whatever it is you're vibrating. What's my energy? Is it positive or is it negative? And here's why I trust the magic, is it's that same magic. I can't explain it. Same magic that heals the cut on your arm without you doing anything about it, right? Is that weird? Who does that? What does that? How many times did you tell your heart to beat yesterday? I'm going to guess none. It just beats away. A little faster when we're stressed, a little slower when we're relaxed. We don't tell it to beat faster. It's an uber intricate system within us that keeps functioning with no conscious effort from us. We don't even have to think about it. We just surrender and let it happen. You remember that stat I threw at you at the beginning? The 80% of our thoughts are negative. It only makes sense that according to the law of thinking, if I get what I think, 80% of my life is negative. Kinda. It's part of the magic. You get what you think, whether you want it or not. The universe hears me, it'll match my vibration. What you think about, you get more of. What am I thinking about? I used to think about the things I didn't have. And that's exactly what I got more of have. If I think I'm poor or lack something, the universe is going to provide me with things that they're going to match that. It's more lack. The universe doesn't know the difference. It just loves me. It just matches what I'm vibing, what it thinks I'm asking for. That's the magic. I can't explain it. It just is work for me. If I want to be rich, okay, here's one. If I want to be rich, is that a positive thought? I would argue no. I want to be rich. You're suggesting to the universe that you're not. You'll be later. I think more of the vibration, you can just change a little bit with your thinking. I am rich. I sure felt that way for $300 at the ATM at the deck that day. The days of the week are another one. You know, you've heard this. Mondays suck. Well, now they do. But if you really think about it, a day in itself can't suck. It's impossible. Yet we're literally taught and conditioned in thinking that there are only 3 days that are good. The other 4 suck. Can't wait for Friday. Yay, the weekend. Ugh, Monday. Ugh, work. That's what the kids hear in the house growing up over and over. And it's a belief formed and a vibration takes over. And I guarantee if your vibration at work is an I don't want to be here vibration, then more reasons, situations, people will magically show up to give you more reasons not to want to be there. If you're thinking about it, you're going to see more of it. Just like my Mazda 3, right? Every moment of every day, all I'm doing is experiencing the effects of my thoughts and my beliefs. Do I believe the world's good? Do I believe it's bad? Same world. What am I? What am I thinking? You know, for the next little bit here, let's just substitute negative and positive for fear and love. Negative, fear, positive, love. I'll tell you one thing for sure, we addicts, we don't love ourselves very much. You don't have to be an addict not to love yourself, of course. And where there's an absence of love, there can only be fear. And I'm not talking romantic love. I'm talking love as a verb, action, kindness, empathy, listening, caring, giving. In other words, holding the door for someone, telling your wife she looks pretty and pretending you're interested in the Hallmark movie because you know that'll make her feel good. I mean, it's endless. Saying thank you to the waiter, saying thank you. More on that coming up. Fear in action is endless too. Fear in action, negative. Judgment, defensiveness, anger, jealousy, revenge, being offended, hate, resentment, fear of being found out. I know now that every day when I put my 2 feet on the floor to start my day, no matter what happens, I've got 2 choices every second of every day. I can approach situations with love in action, or I can approach them with fear in action, positive, negative. How I treat the server, how I interact with my kids, how I react to situations in traffic, although that's a really hard one. But those are the 2 choices I have, love or fear. Every second of every day, I'm telling the universe what I want. It's happy to match it. I'm sure you've heard this quote, be what you want to see. You've heard that? You want kindness, be kind. You want love, be love. Yeah. You want abundance, be rich. Don't want to be rich, be rich. Appreciate the $300 you just spit out of the ATM machine. I did. That started me. Be what you want to see. You want drama, be dramatic. Want light, be combative. Fight, not light. I found a way to love life and it started loving me back. It's crazy magic. But it's impossible for an addict to love. I didn't love myself. It made me incapable of loving anything or anyone. I can't give something to someone I don't actually have it to give, you know? Like this pen. Here's an example. I want to give you this pen, right? It's pretty easy. I have a pen to give. So you take the pen away. Let's do it again. I want to give you a pen. I really want to, but I can't. As much as I want to, I'm incapable because I don't have a pen to give you. It's the same with love in action. If I don't have it for myself, it's impossible to give it. So I was so empty of self-love. A lot of us are, I guess. That's why my relationships never worked. I just wanted to be loved and accepted. And since I didn't have the alcohol to fill my emptiness, I needed others to fill my emptiness. I needed approval. I still do a little bit, ask my wife. Anyway, I needed compliments. As long as everyone was doing exactly what I needed them to do, then my self-esteem, my self-worth, my self-love were at least temporarily intact. The only way to keep the tank full was to try to control things and take from others what I lacked for myself, an impossible task for people I had relationships with. And remember, everyone is a relationship. Parents, kids, wife, friends, the checkout girl, anyone you interact with over the course of a day is a relationship. Are you a giver or are you a taker? In other words, am I love in action or am I fear in action? And those are my 2 choices. I mean, look at the way addicts treat their closest. A great example of fear in action. The partner, the kids, whoever's under the roof, let's say they're at the center of the circle, right? And as you go out of the circle, there's lines in the circle. And you go further and further out to those fringe friends, right? Those fringe friends you feel pretty safe with. But when they're under your roof, they're going to find out secrets about you, right? there's a better chance of them seeing your vulnerability and flaws. You know that, so you'll do everything in your power to protect that, right? Not the guys on the ball team and the ladies in the choir. That's why you're seen as perfect to them. There's not much of a chance, so you're secure. You feel safe. But when we're at home, we're choosing fear because we got to protect that perfect image and hide our vulnerability, especially from the people who are close enough to find me out. How do you love yourself? I don't know. Good night. No, I'm kidding. No, I just don't have time is what it is. It's called filling up the tank. It's not selfish, by the way. And if someone ever tells you taking time for yourself is selfish, just tell them no. It's self-full. That'll get it. I'm going to start with the number one love and action vibration that shifted my life immediately. Gratitude. Being thankful for what I have right now. This is the one I know I can do every minute of every day. In other words, I stopped working on wanting to have what I want, and I started working on wanting what I have. The notion that more is better is everywhere. Look, gotta have this, the latest that, implying that when I get this or that, I'll be happy and thankful. But until then, I'm somehow lacking and unhappy without it. More external suffering. If I don't know how to appreciate what I have now, and I didn't, or where I am in life right now, and I didn't, I don't deserve it. Because when something or someone else shows up in my life, I won't know how to accept and appreciate that either. I'll just want more. Or I want it to be different, or I want it to be like it used to be, or I want it to be someone else to be the way I think they should be. I mean, more is nice, no denying that. I've learned the secret to getting more. Oh, I have more nice things, more great friends, more of what's supposed to be, more of what's meant to be. It's actually pretty simple. More always shows up when I'm thankful for what I already have. And I tell you, if you say one prayer for the rest of your life, thank you would be enough. It's the most powerful tool I use. You can too, because when you're thankful for what you have, that's when more to be thankful for starts to show up in your life. More of the magic. I don't know. I just started appreciating things I've always taken for granted. You know, that could be a million things. I literally sometimes you'll laugh. I don't care. I thank NB Power when the power is on. So I'll just go, thank you for the power. I mean, who does that? I do, because I know the magic. You've probably heard of a gratitude journal. I'd throw that out there. Some think it's a silly concept, but it's basically writing down 5 things you were thankful for in the day, putting out that energy, vibrating. Really great way to shift your vibration. Thanking NB Power could be one of the 5. Talking to my son, Jack, always on my list. Thanks for the nice meal that my stepdaughter made me. That never happens. But if it did, I would say thank you. I might even be thankful for the guy who drove way too slow in front of me as I was trying to get home down Canada Street for showing me that I need to work on my patience for real. You can even be thankful for the bad stuff. Maybe give that a try. And listen, if you're having trouble finding things to be thankful for, I just want to give you a little introduction into some perspective. And these moments when I think life is unfair and my phone isn't working or my power goes out, there's no parking close to the entrance, blah, blah, blah. I reach for a good old bottle of perspective. And I read somewhere, you might have heard this too, 3 things, if we have these: a warm bed, a roof over our head, and food in the fridge, we're better off than 75% of the world's population. Right? Crazy. I often put roof over my head in my gratitude journal. I mean, perspectives everywhere, even at my gym. There's a guy named Chris. Chris works out 3 times a week. Chris never misses a day, never misses an opportunity to smile, say hi, and give me a high five and call me because he's so excited because he can't remember my name. That doesn't matter. Chris is happy. Chris is full of life. He's such a light. And Chris is in a wheelchair. He has no use of his legs, limited use of his arms. His motor skills severely challenged. He has every excuse in the world not to smile, not to say hi, not to high five, and not to go to the gym. So when I don't feel like going to the gym or saying hi to people or smiling, I think of my friend Chris. You know, he helps give me that perspective to realize I have so much to be thankful for as I walk out of that gym with my perfectly working legs to my perfectly working car that I'm able to drive. And for that, I'm thankful. I don't feel bad for Chris. I just love him by being present and helping him and making him feel like he's worthy of my time. Chris, you are a gift in my recovery. My most important mantra: everything is a gift, including my alcoholism. And without it, I probably wouldn't know any of this stuff, right? If I look back at my alcoholism with thoughts of negativity, regret, fear, I'll be stuck in the past. That's where all our fear lives, by the way, in the past. And since the past can't be changed, I can reach for the only thing I control, and that's the way I think about it. So I choose to think of my alcoholism as a gift. in bad rapping. How many of you had a breakup only later to realize it was a good thing that they left? Like, wow, what a gift. All the emotional crap you coped with, that was the bad rapping. They were meant to be. It's a little easier to forgive them too if you can change your thoughts about it. I mean, here, forgiveness, another really great effective tool, more love in action. This time I'm loving myself enough to let go of a negative thought vibe I've got going on about somebody from my past. Remember where all that fear lives back there? Forgiveness isn't about letting the other person off the hook. Forgiveness is about letting you off the hook, open inward. I couldn't change them or what happened, but I can change the way I think about them. I'm in control of that. I'm no longer letting that person or situation control my negative thought energy. We continue to feel what we project onto another. I don't want to feel resentment and bitterness, so they can't make me. In the end, forgiveness is giving up the hope that somehow things could have been different. Thank Oprah Winfrey for that. These are just 3 of the many loving attributes. Love in action. You can start right now. Gratitude, perspective, forgiveness. There's so many others. Here's a few more. Let go of complaining. I challenge you. Make a conscious decision not to complain for 24 hours. I've done it. Your vibration will change. I promise you. You'll feel better by tomorrow. Look for opportunities to be kind. God, they're everywhere. Compliment a stranger. Pay for someone's order at the drive-thru. The energy you're putting out there not only brightens your day, but the person in the car behind you, and even the person at the window who feels like they're part of this energy vibration of kindness, right? Be what you want to see in your life. And look, despite all the positive talk, there's going to be pain in your life, right? Look, I was under the illusion that to be strong is to never feel pain. And in reality, the strongest people are the ones who feel it, understand it, and accept it. Feel, deal, and heal. Drinking kept me from feeling, dealing, or healing. Sobriety forced me to. And now I think I've got the tools to cope. My mental health is everything. In fact, my physical health is a direct result of my mental health. I'm 53, literally in the best shape of my life. Not because I decided to go to the gym, It's because opportunities presented themselves that led me to a gym one day. I found myself on a better health journey because I dropped the fear I might have had, I let life lead me instead of the other way around. I followed the breadcrumbs. I went with the flow. The universe is always rigged in my favor. It's crazy magic. Good mental health, of course, is about more than the absence of drinking. It's about my capacity to feel, think, and act in ways that, help me enjoy life all the while dealing with the challenges that are obviously going to be there. It's about love and action. It's about, chipping away at that fear that I'm so conditioned to embrace. I've heard it said the biggest virus in the world right now is actually fear. You feel that energy? Yeah. So now those mental health challenges become even greater, right? Because now we're being deprived of the one thing we're all wired to be: connected. Connections, that's why we're here. It's what gives meaning to our lives, The fear I had and lived with, is there something about me that others will see that makes me not worthy of connection? I try to never pass by a homeless person now, whether I have change or not, because ultimately it's not about the money. I just want to make it a point to say hi, maybe ask him a question about his day, or maybe just say, be good. It's about connection. I want to in some way show love in action and maybe help his self-worth. I feel it too, right? It's a win-win. I dare say the opposite of addiction is not sobriety. For me, the opposite of addiction is connection. That's why I encourage you to seek any help the universe puts in front of you. Connect. The resources are there. Plug in, connect. It's our instinct. It's in our DNA. Fear just gets in the way. Connect. Call the number. Join in. I connected with AA. That's why it works for a lot of people. It connects people who need exactly that connection with no fear, no judgment. You're worthy and loved. Reach out. You'd be surprised, like I was, at the unconditional support that waits for you with help from this Canadian Mental Health Association of New Brunswick, for example. There are 2 types of people in the world: those who enter a room and say, here I am, and those who enter a room and say, there you are. I know which one I am now. There you are. I'm loving someone, giving them my attention, helping them feel worthy. And in turn, in the spirit of what we project onto others is what we feel. I'm loving myself. You'll feel it. And if I could make it a habit, just like I did with all the fear in action, my dominant vibration slowly shifting from negative to positive, from fear to love, or unhappy to happy, frankly. Practice without receiving, giving something. Give something without getting anything back. Put money in a stranger's parking meter. Buy a coffee for the car behind you at Tim's. Press yes when the Walmart self-checkout asks you for $1 for the kids' chairs. Hey, listen, I know you hear, oh, they don't get the money. The kids don't get the money. I don't care. My intention is loving, so I feel better. That's the power of intention. That's a whole other talk. I started filling up my empty tank, and then and only then was I able to give it to someone else, just like that pen. I started being what I wanted to see. It comes back. You just don't get to choose how. That's okay. Appreciate everything you have. Watch the power of gratitude. Track more things to be thankful for. Be present as much as you can. Relax about the future. Both the past and the future don't exist. I actually heard this one at a meeting one time. If you've got 1 foot on yesterday and 1 foot on tomorrow, you're pissing all over today. That's what it stuck with me. It's all a gift, you guys. Some of it's just in bad wrapping, you know? If you have to have a choice of between being right and being kind, choose kindness. We live in a world where external suffering is out of control. Addiction was my attempt to escape that suffering, and I'm pretty sure it's the case for a lot of addicts. It all stems from fear. My fearful thoughts attracted my suffering. My negative thoughts attracted my mental health negatively. I just kind of let go of control. I stopped masturbating. Right. Crazy things started to happen when I let go of control. Things became more in control in my life. It's the craziest thing. The right situations, the easiest way to do things. There was more flow, fewer speed bumps. Stuff just starts falling into place. It's the magic. It's not always that way. We're human, you know. We're meant to feel pain and disappointment. Otherwise, we wouldn't know the joy, right? It's all a gift. Addicts are just flatlined. We don't know pain or happiness. Maybe my alcoholism wasn't so much a disease as it was a dis-ease with life, you know, external suffering. I had such a dis-ease with life, it almost killed me. It takes time, self-awareness. But a good place to start is to start thinking about what you're thinking about. It's hard like anything at first. I remember the first time I tried to drive a standard. That almost killed me too. But now I drive a standard with ease. I don't even think about it. It's effortless. I don't think about it. Just going to leave you with a quick story. I don't know if I'm over time or not. Thank you. There's a little kitten and an old alley cat hanging out in the alley, and the little kitten is there chasing his tail. You know how they do that? He's chasing round and around. And this little kitten keeps chasing, spinning around, going in circles. Every so often he'd catch it, but it would soon let go. And you know how they do. They go back to chasing, spinning. And the old alley cat comes up to him and says, hey, what are you doing? And the kitten looks up to him and says, well, I just got back from cat philosophy school, and I learned 2 things at that school. Number 1, the most important thing in the world for a cat is happiness. And number 2, that it's located in my tail. So what I'm doing is I'm chasing. When I get a hold of my tail, I'm going to get it locked on the eternal happiness. The old alley cat looks at him and he says, well, look, I don't have the same benefits as you do. You know, cat philosophy school and all. I've just been out here in the alley gathering food, you know. Funny though, I learned the exact same thing you did. I learned that indeed happiness is the most important thing to a cat. And I also learned that it's in my tail. But the only difference between you and I is that I found by simply going about my business, living my life, going with the flow, trusting what's meant to be, that tail just kind of follows me wherever I go. So, the end. I stopped chasing my tail. I let go of the old thinking. If you knew how powerful your thoughts were, you'd try to never have another negative one again. Before I go, my wife, who's a Reiki master, she wanted me to remind you that whatever you're letting go of, it could be very hard and it's a process. So she says, don't feel bad if you leave claw marks. Okay. So, all right. I'm done.
Thank you so much, Fred, for sharing your journey with us. That was Sorry there, little technical error.
Oh, it's okay.
Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. That was fantastic. I just want to remind everybody, if you've got questions for Fred, please drop them into the Q&A portion so that we can ask them. Although we talk about a lot of good, positive thinking, we're not telepathic yet. So Fred, I've got a couple of questions for you just before we get into what we do have in the can at the moment. So when you were saying you would hit like your rock bottom point with your emotion and everything else in PEI, you were crying, you were just giving into it. What was it that you found that pulled you out of it? What was it that put you on that path to find the magic, to get into everything?
Well, first of all, the crying, I say that sort of tongue in cheek, but I think that's super important, especially when I say I was sobbing. I knew when I sobbed for days, I knew that something was changing within me. What did I stumbled upon, I'm a big fan of Hay House. I've been to the conferences. I know all this stuff. And a lot of the things I just talked about, I mean, obviously it's in a lot of the writings, but I really resonated with it. So I had stumbled on a video by Dr. Wayne Dyer, and I've actually noticed a couple of his videos on your website. It was called The Power of Intention. And I don't know what, I couldn't even really, relive some of the video right now. It was so many years ago. And it just struck a chord with me. It struck a chord that I could actually control. He just nailed the external suffering for me. And I don't know, it's just divine. I just was attracted to this video. And from there, of course, I went and bought a book. And from there, I went to this. And all of a sudden, somebody else who read the same book, because I'm vibrating positivity through the video, you know what I mean? They suggest another book, and then the vibing is continuing, right? And this is the magic. And it happens, it ebbs and flows. And as long as you can stay in that pocket, all the right stuff just seems to happen, So it was a video, just fluked on it, That's it.
It's wild what can pull us out of our worst points. It really is. Another question I had for you was, so you talked a lot about in the beginning of your talk about the seeking external validation and how that was creating issues for you in your life. Now, as a broadcaster, you're out there and you are being fed external validation, whether you're out looking for it or not. Do you ever find that creates an issue for you, or potential problems with you trying not to go out and seek that external validation and just appreciate what's coming in?
So good. That's such a good question. I guess my radio career kind of, I was also a professional actor, so I've done seasons at TNB as well. So I picked the right professions to drink in, I tell you that. But anyway, but my radio career paralleled my drinking career. And it's funny, I say this to my wife all the time. I says, man, when I first started into this, and I'm just being completely vulnerable with you guys. I said, I used to want people to recognize me and want people to know who I am, right? I used to crave it. I wanted to be recognized. And then in my mental health journey, and as I came over the hump, two things happened in my career. First of all, I became more vulnerable on the air, which in turn made me more likable.
Oh, 100%.
More real, right? I wasn't just an announcer anymore. I turned into a personality, right? So I lost that fear of vulnerability. But I also, back to your original question, I found I was going out in public hoping not to be recognized, right? It wasn't because I didn't want to be. It was because I didn't need the validation anymore. I think that's the best I could figure it out. Ask my therapist, but I think she was on the same thing with me, And I found it to be the weirdest thing. I used to crave it, and now I kind of don't want it. But it's not that I don't want it, but because when I get it, man, I sure appreciate it. So it kind of all, my mental health, everything, job, relationships, all that stuff. It's just, if you could put a graph, it would all follow. It would all be on the same line.
Is it because it's more of a genuine validation that you get now, instead of that you're validated because of a thing, and now you're being validated because you made a human connection with somebody else and they recognize that?
Yes. Look, I won't go down aisle 5 because I think they'll know me anymore.
Understood.
Right? Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
But if the universe wants me to go down aisle 5, I'll end up there and I'll meet the person that I'm supposed to meet, and the validation is therefore real.
Yeah. It's not that false, fake, superficial validation. Right. It's a genuine.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. And you're probably being forced into aisle 5 now because of the COVID arrows, right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm so bad at the arrows, you guys. If you see me out there, I'm terrible at the arrows. I try. My intention is good. Anyway.
All right. So we got some questions here and some wonderful comments. We've got one coming in. Capital City Rollers love you, Freddy Mac. You're an awesome MF.
Oh my God. I love you back.
We've got another one. Thank you so much. Inspiring! !
Oh, that's so great. Thanks. I thought the Rollers were going to ask a question. I did not say enough about the Capital City Rollers. Can I just quickly?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Quickly?
Yes.
I really mean these people. Talk about connection, right?
Yeah.
Talk about a group of people that build each other up, you know. And not only that, you'll see them when the events come back to town. You'll see them at every event in town doing their community bit. And look, I might be a little political here, but the fact, you know, let's find them a venue. Anyway, okay.
I understand entirely where you're coming from. I'm like 11 years in with roller derby, and it's where I've met some of the best people I have ever come across. Finding a group like that is just so wonderful.
You will. I tell you what, this is the weirdest thing for me to say. You will never feel a love energy vibration more than at a roller derby day with all those teams in there. I know it's crazy that they're knocking the crap out of each other, but the energy doesn't match it. It's the weirdest thing. Anyway.
I'm not a sports guy. I got latched into them, and I actually played for a little while. And I've never experienced it as a sport where you're losing miserably. Like the men's team from St. John went to Montreal, and we lost by the biggest margin in the history of the game at that point in time. But the guys you're playing against, they're just knocking the sweet bejesus out of you. And then they're picking you back up at the end of the match and being like, all right, so this is what you did well. This isn't what you did well. We're going to grab a beer after. We can talk about it more then. Or we're going to... We're going to eat pizza together. Oh, yeah, it's beautiful. So we got another question coming in. How do you respond to negative trigger? How do you respond to negative triggers to drink in a positive way?
Not sure I understand the question. Does that mean negative triggers to drink in a positive? You mean if somebody offers me a drink? Is that,
or like something? I believe what they're intending is if something happens that might encourage you to drink or make you want to drink, how do you respond to that in a positive way?
Oh, I just say no thanks. I don't drink. I mean, there's nothing really too creative about it. I've been sober so long, people are kind of used to it in my circle. But you know, I guess I could be at a place where they're surprised when I say I don't drink. Nah, I just say I don't drink. I mean, I'm at the point in my life now where if somebody judges me, why would I want them there? I think life?
They might be more implying the like. Do you have triggers that make you want to drink or potentially? No. Perfect.
I don't. And I think back in the talk, I wanted to make a point of it. And I don't. I'm so lucky that I was scared sober. It actually, like, I just don't even want to. I don't even have any desire to. I think that's trauma.
Yeah.
I think that's trauma. And like I said, I think it's the only time fear's ever really worked for me. There's healthy fear. That's a whole other talk.
Healthy fear is a good thing. It keeps us from doing terrible stuff. Yeah. Don't touch. Don't touch the stove. It's hot. I'm afraid of touching a hot stove. It works.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. So thank you for the question. And bless those who do struggle.
We've got another one, not a question, but I just needed to say that this was an incredible message that I needed to hear today. You're a fantastic speaker, and thank you.
Oh, thank you.
All this
Thank
genuine
you.
validation. It's wonderful.
I so I was, yeah, feeling good.
We've got another one here. Interesting question. Is compulsive spending like drinking? I think it's the same. I'm an addict spending money on clothes.
I look, I'm not a professional, but for me, in my opinion, yes. Yes. It's bringing, it's the I want that I talked about, wanting more. You'll never be satisfied. Once you have it, you'll just want more, right? Even in a relationship, once you have a good relationship, if you have no love for yourself, not no love for yourself, please, I don't want to offend anyone here. It's very hard to explain, but for me, all addictions are the same, whether it's drinking, food, gambling. Addictions can be, well, cigarettes, another person. Like I said, you could be addicted to love, addicted to, you could be addicted to whatever it is. It is consuming you and helping you deal with life in a non-positive way, I guess. It's a false way to do it, I guess. Best way to put it. Thank you for your question.
We got another great question here. To change your thinking, do you need to really work at stopping and checking your thoughts? I always try to mirror what I want in others, but I do struggle with focusing on the positive when dealing with myself. Any advice how to start?
You do exactly that. And that's what I talked about. You think about what you're thinking about, and you literally, I used to get a visual. Somebody told me one time, just put a big stop sign in your head, stop for a second, and change the thought. That's you literally can do that. The thought does not change the feeling, but if you practice and with time you keep changing that thought, that's what starts to change the feeling. The more you think about it, the more you feel it, right? So the more I think I'm rich, the more I feel it, and the more abundance shows up in various forms. It's not just a bunch of cash flying from the ceiling, it's there's different, it comes back in various ways. But yeah, I think it's all, yeah.
You can get that
answered your question.
The cornucopia of awesome that comes towards you when you let it, right?
Yeah. It's like, allowing. Right.
Yeah. So if anybody has any more questions, just throw them up into that Q&A. I do have another one for you. When you're having those down days, when you're having a hard time finding something to be thankful for, you can't figure it out. What do you find works for you to kick you back into that positive thinking?
Well, I've heard many people say if you can't find something to be thankful for, check your pulse.
All right. That is a really good answer.
There's perspective everywhere. Your pulse is one of them. There's perspective everywhere. If you find yourself in a cranky mood and you can't get comfortable on the couch because you've had the couch for 20 years and you need a new one and it's awful, right? There's perspective everywhere. Just all you have to do is take your thoughts in your mind, being a little more reasonable, and know there's a whole lot of people out on the street that don't have a couch to lay on, comfortable or not. Boom, you're out of that moment, right? It's a very solid and upfront way to do it, but at first, that's the way I did it. Another thing I didn't get to is try to meet everybody for the first time. This is a neat exercise, right? Everybody along the way, you've got a history, or sometimes you just fluff off a hello from that person. It gets back to the there you are or here I am. Try to meet everybody for the first time with no history, with no preconceived notion or belief about them that you've had from before. That's just another little tip I didn't get to, but it's one that's really worked well for me. Yeah, I really do that at the stores or if I don't know the person, genuinely, for those of you asking, how do I feel better about myself? It's really it's not about anything coming to you. It's about what you're giving. That's when you start to feel You feel what you project, right? Why would I want to project anything but kindness, empathy, all the things I want to feel, right? And I guess that's answering a question before a little better. I just thought a little bit of time to think about it, but I really encourage that. Okay. The more you put out there, the more you feel it. And for those who choose to be angry a lot of the time, and those who choose to be bitter a lot of the time, it's you're feeling that. And guess what? That's your mental health affecting your physical health, you know?
So, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it seems to be a fairly consistent theme across pretty well all of our speakers so far, that it really just does come down to practice and putting that work in, make those positive mental thoughts, actually think about it and do the effort, and it'll all kind of come to you if you just keep practicing, right?
Well, that's like I said about the drive and the standards.
Yep.
Right. At first, it's probably the hardest thing I've ever done. At first.
Yeah.
And now I still drive one, and I can't remember the last time I thought about shifting a gear.
It eventually, you do it long enough, it just becomes autonomous.
Right. The board at work with the billions of buttons, right?
Yep.
My first day, I was consumed. But I can't remember the last time I looked down at it.
Yeah, a mixing board.
We're honest to God, we're amazing. We're amazing creatures. I mean, we heal ourselves. All this stuff. It's amazing. You just gotta believe it, and every single one of you, every single one.
All right, so we got some more in here in the box. So we got a lovely thank you, and then we have a return from the individual about spending. I tried to hide my spending, but now I am open about it. But I am using my family by asking for money and spending it on clothes. That sounds like addiction to me. Let's see what else. I was going to say you all right there?
I think we have a delay, so
I think so too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that it sounds like addiction. And if you are looking for help with addiction, I do recommend checking out the numbers that we have posted in the chat. There's definitely somebody who can help you one-on-one with that and help get that under control.
Please, it's a dis-ease with life. And you're searching for things outside of yourself to numb those feelings, right? And obviously spending money on clothes makes you feel good. It takes away the pain. It gets in the way of the pain, but only for a little bit, because you're just going to want more clothes.
Yeah. So what else do we have here? We've got a lovely comment here. Your vulnerability shows us your deep courage. Your story invokes resilience and hope. Our recent CMHA research shows an increase in dependency and addiction during the pandemic. Your message is timely and truly appreciated. You have warmed our hearts tonight. Thank you.
Okay, I want to add something to that. And this is look, we got a pandemic going on, right? I talked about connectedness, and I saw somebody recently who talked about our mental health, up here, and our physical health down here. And for years and years and years in Western culture, we've been bombarded with the fast food, the unhealthy food, those things. And collectively, our physical health has gotten worse and worse as time passes on, because our food, of what we're pounding into our bodies. And I've heard people argue saying, oh, well, we're still connected. I mean, there's social media. And to a point, yes, that does connect us. And thank goodness this didn't happen in 1985, right? But at the same time, I think it's fast food for the mind, right? It's like we're still getting fed. We're still getting food. It's keeping us going, but it's not the best. It's not the healthy, in-person connected food that, or what I mean by that? Does that make any sense?
It
I don't know if
does.
I describe that well. I just think during this time, this is the way we're connecting, and thank goodness we have it. But at the same time, we just be very, very careful as to how we use it, I guess. But for me, it's not true connectedness. It's more of a fast food version of it.
No, definitely. And that actually leads really well into another question that we have in the box. Any tips on how to manage negative thoughts when we are constantly faced with bad news and information everywhere?
Oh, like the news and things like that. Yeah, don't. It's not yours. Don't make it yours, right? You'd have to be more specific with what news it is, but it's it's just a matter of stepping back a little bit and looking at the bigger picture for me. But I used to do that a lot. I used to make it my issue, right? When somebody is acting a certain way, somehow I'm responsible. I don't know. It's hard. Look, I'm saying change your thoughts to all positive. Nobody lives in a world of utopia. This is more about, doing your best to try and curb those negative thoughts. My first thought would be stop watching it. Yeah, I mean, it's all over the place. But when we have bad news on the radio show in the morning during the news, I just have to detach myself from it. Again, there's another attachment and detachment. There's two different ways to approach things. Again, that's a whole other talk, but I just have to detach myself with it and not make it mine. And that way I can deal with it from a place of positivity and love, rather than being mad at it or upset with it, or right. So it's just a matter of just knowing you're being fearful. And there's a lot. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine, I guess. These questions are hard.
Oh yeah.
I was nervous about the talk, and I thought I was going to ace the question.
The questions are always the hard part, but they usually come with lovely uplifting bits in there as well.
Yes.
Joette Lavoie, sorry there. You were asking who is best to call. I'm going to recommend the Chimo line. That is going to be the easiest general catch-all. If you are having a crisis, so please reach out to one of the crisis lines. They'll be able to help you out. What else do we have in here? Oh, how to be kind to yourself when you are around people who don't understand your mental health, or being self-compassionate when your mental health is bad in general.
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Not a problem. It's a tough one.
Okay.
The question is how to be kind to yourself when you are around people who don't understand your mental health, or being self-compassionate when your mental health is bad in general.
Oh, it's a choice. It's a choice. I'm really not quite understanding. I don't think it's anything I haven't said. One more time, quick. Just read it quick.
Not a problem.
I have Asperger's, so sometimes I have to. Okay.
No worries. So the question, I'm going to break it down.
Okay.
How to be kind? How can you be kind to yourself when you are around people who don't understand your mental health, or being self-compassionate when your mental health is just bad in general?
For me, it's the magic. Knowing that if I'm not kind to myself, the world won't be either. I'm not matching the vibration of love that the universe is. So it really is getting back to what we talked about. It's putting the work in and filling up that tank, right? And you will slowly love yourself by being able to love others, and being kind to yourself, because why would you? For me, it's why would I do anything else? I think I have a hard time answering these questions because everybody's situation is different, and I don't want to answer something flippantly that might not work exactly with their situation. So I want to say, for me, the answer is I choose it because I don't want to feel bad.
Yeah, and that's not a bad answer at all. It's actually,
it sounds so simple, but I don't want to downplay what you're going through, but that's it. And if I can't choose it, I at least am aware of it. And this is the biggest thing, you guys. And this is all I wanted this talk to create. And this is, think about what you're thinking about. Really what that's saying is, just start with some awareness in your life. Have some awareness. So the fact that you're writing in and asking a question and you're aware that you aren't being kind to yourself is a whole lot of light being shone on that situation. You are already on your way. Most people go about life in a state, we don't know what we're doing. We're just reacting to things that are happening all over the place outside of us. But for you to take the time and have that awareness that you are feeling the way you're feeling, then all of a sudden you're shining a light on it. Basically, it's step one in AA. You're admitting you have a problem. Without that step, there's no more steps. So, not comparing your situation to AA. So good for you for asking the question. You're already started. You're already going. You're already there. You're already on the path.
excellent. All right, we got that individual actually did write back in. Love that and thank you. And sorry for the long question.
Yeah. All right.
All right. We've got another comment. I'm going to read it. I think I've got it right here. I think there's a typo in it. I have a PhD and I'm like dying inside. I thought I could handle my stuff. It's hard. More money, no time. I can't buy time. If you are having an issue, I do recommend giving a call to one of our lines like the Chimo line. But any comment on that, Fred?
So they're saying they don't have time for anything?
They don't have. They've got money. They've got a PhD. They thought they could handle their stuff, but all the more money they have, they just don't have time.
Time to what? Just time?
I am just general? Time. They can't buy time.
Oh,
I think it's more of a general comment.
Yeah, well, look, I'm just gonna, another simple question that might, if you think you don't have time for anything, you won't. I know. And it's a matter of getting back to changing the way you think about it, right?
Yep.
Start vibrate, you do have time. You gotta, time's an illusion anyway. You do have time. And when you start to believe you do have time, guess what happens? The universe provides you with the time. You just don't need to, you don't know when that time is going to be. You just got to latch onto it while you're vibrating along with the universe, yep. Right? In that positive state of love. I do have time. I just haven't found it yet or something. You know what I mean? It's just tweaking that thinking. And then the next time and tomorrow you're going to say, I don't have time. You're going to do it again because it's a habit. And you're going to say it again. You're going to say it again. But each time you do, try to have that awareness about yourself where you go, wait, I do have time. And if you feel like you do have time enough, that first time is going to show up where you do have time. And you're going to go, oh my gosh, I have time right now. All right, I'm going to finish this pottery that I was doing. Yeah. But right. And then all of a sudden, as you are vibing all this free time, you're like, it is possible. All right, maybe I do have time. Oh, really? More time. Vibing. Here comes, I mean, I don't know your particular situation. I don't know how busy you are, but in general, that's where I go. I always go inside, inward. You don't have time, it means you're unhappy, right? The door to happiness opens inward. So I need to decide I have time. Not I'm going to make time. That's vibe and I don't have it. Right? It's positive-ish. But no, I have time. I'm rich. I'm good. Anything that follows I am is what will come true for you. I am blank every time. I am good enough. I suck. It's exactly what you're vibing. And you don't say I'm not worthy once and then the world comes crashing down on you. That's not what we're here about. It's a vibration that is collected over time and it actually overtakes you. So you've thought that you're not worthy for so long that it is your dominant vibration. That's when the universe really starts matching things up, and that's when life gets into a mess, right? So it's constant, So it starts small. You're going to start small, and then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And with time, you change that 80% negative, it starts to shift. And maybe next year you're at 60% negative. And maybe next week you're at 62. You know, it's ebbs and flows. But eventually you want to get to that other side where your dominant vibration is love instead of fear. And I'm afraid for most of us, or a lot of us, and I still include myself in this, I'm not an 80-20 guy yet.
Yep.
You know, I mean, I'm not scoring myself, but I thought I had it all figured out. I got married. All of a sudden, I got this beautiful woman in my life teaching me things about myself I didn't have it all figured out, right? So I'm so thankful for her for that, right?
Yep. No,
so nobody, if you think you got it figured out, it's a sure sign you don't.
Yeah.
That's in my experience. If you think you got it figured out, it's a sure sign you don't, because I was that guy.
Yeah. It actually, it's fantastic. It actually reminds me of one of the most profound things that was ever told to me ever. When you actually want something, you'll get it. Not the idea, not the concept, not in theory. When you want to be better, you'll be better. When you want to have free time, you will have free time. You've just got to want it, actually want it. It's just, it really does.
You know, look, for anybody who's into manifesting, I don't think I read The Secret, right? And I think The Secret's great. The one thing they might have touched on it, I don't remember about it. The one thing they don't touch on enough is, you know, people get this idea, well, if I think about it, it'll show up in my life. That's not necessarily true. It's a little more to it than that. And really, you guys that have tried The Secret and it hasn't been successful for you, it's more about the vibration you're emitting. It's not, so the thoughts, once they're repeated and they become habit, they're going to add to this vibration that you're emitting, right? So The Secret says you think about it, you get it. Well, really, you have to be it. You have to feel it, right? We bought fortunate enough to buy a cottage in PEI, which is still in escrow, and with COVID going on, and it's not ours yet, and it's been a year almost. You know, a typical stressful situation, right? But I meditate, and not only do I think about, I don't tell the seller this, but it's already my cottage. Right?
Yeah.
Like I actually meditate the wind, and I actually meditate, right? I don't just go cottage. Once you get the vibration, the universe will match that. And who knows, the universe, it's up to the universe what it gives you, right? It might be a different cottage.
Yeah.
But I'm still gonna feel the wind, the sand, the toes. So it's more a vibrational feeling. So like you said, I want to be rich, yeah, or I am rich.
Yeah.
With repetition, what creates the vibration?
Yeah.
Right. So $300 to me right now, you know, in my old life, I would have said, geez, I only have $300. But I no matter how much money I find dimes in the laundry room all the time, right? I will look at the year on it, I'll appreciate it, and I'll say thank you. Instead of what, only a dime, I wish it was a loonie. Right? Because in that moment, I'm wishing it was a loonie, I'm vibrating lack.
And
right?
Yeah. It's all about
same with the person who is shopping, right?
Yep.
You're vibrating lack. You don't have enough clothes. So the universe will provide you with more lack.
Oh, exactly.
You might get a new pair of pants, but
you wanted a shirt.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope that makes sense.
It definitely does. And it sounds like you've already got the vacation photos from your cottage on PEI, from how forward thinking you are with it.
Oh, it's been like, this poor woman doesn't know we've had a year to actually create this vibrational ownership of this place. She doesn't know we're already in there. Yep. So
you're already there. You've hung up your stuff. It's yours. All right. We've got another comment and another question. One is, thanks for this. I wish we could have these speaker series every week. They're all so lovely. Which is,
yeah.
And our last question is, you were scared into 100% sobriety. What advice do you have for people who haven't had a rock bottom moment?
Well, I mean, you're saying you want to be scared. I mean, you don't need to be scared to get sober. I'm just lucky that way. In fact, most of the stories, look, I'm going to go out and say AA. I mean, it works for so many people. That's just, I mean, you're talking about all the numbers on the screens, things like that. AA is something that worked for me for a while. That connection, the no judgment. Wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great if we lived, everybody, if judgment was illegal? Wouldn't that be great?
It would be wonderful.
Can you imagine? Yeah. Oh, well.
All right. Well, it's been great having you, Fred. Thank you so much for sticking around, answering some questions, as hard as some of them were. But we got great answers out of you. So fantastic.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much, Mike. Keep up the good work, man.
I'll do what I can. And you do the same, man. Keep staying positive. It's been wonderful.
All right.
So that's the end of the question. This is going to conclude tonight's mental health speaker series. Please join us tomorrow night as we will have New Brunswick comedian Nathan Dimitrov share his story. The link is in the chat to register, or check out the Canadian Mental Health Association of New Brunswick's Facebook page, and you can click the registration right there. It's all open and good to go now. And I just want to say to everybody out there watching you, thank you so much for tuning into this. I hope you're staying healthy, hydrated, happy, and positive, and I hope you grabbed as much as you can from this. Thank you for being here, and you have yourself a wonderful evening.